This is a piece about trees, but it starts with a book. Why not? The two are inseparable. A while back, I discovered a book called Imagine a Country, Ideas for a Better Future by Val McDermid and Joe Sharp. The idea behind it gripped me immediately. A series of essays from a wide array of Scottish voices, artists, comedians, economists, setting out visions and dreams and ideas for an imagined Scotland they would like to live in. Reading through the essays, there were many common themes: the empowerment of youth, opening up art for everyone to share and take part in, better public transport. Among them, one idea came up again and again: plant more trees. It struck me as odd, then it didn't. I work in a forest. Mostly the work involves sweat, getting poked by branches and swearing, but there are times when I've experienced a transcendent sense of contentment in my local forest. Trees have a hold on us. I'm convinced of it. A hold that is deep and primal in its reach. You can start with the Gadstril, the world tree, and work down, or you can start just with being in the sight of greenery, a houseplant will do, and work up. In his excellent book, 59 Seconds, Professor Richard Wiseman describes how simply being able to see plants helps us heal more quickly, aids mental health, cuts antisocial behaviour, boosts creativity, and generally puts us in a better mood. If a humble houseplant can lift our spirits without our even realising, then what of trees, the most breathtaking manifestations of the plant kingdom? What happens when you put a whole bunch of these sacred plants together to make a wood? What lurks in the woods? On the one hand, you get more of that good stuff. Shirin-yoku is the Japanese practice of forest bathing. It involves simply spending time amongst the trees, looking, touching, breathing, perhaps just being. Mindfulness, meditation, spiritual connection, call it what you will, these concepts are now firmly in the mainstream of thinking on mental health benefits. And yet, there's a paradox, for woods often present the hidden, the mysterious, the dangerous. What lurks in the woods? We could start with the Gruffalo. Now there's a book that understands what I'm trying to get at. Tolkien and the Brothers Grimm, they knew the power of the deep, dark wood. The forbidden forest in Harry Potter. The entrance to hell in Dante's Inferno is a wood. The frozen wood beyond the wardrobe in Narnia. Shakespeare's A Midsummer Night's Dream, or Macbeth if you prefer a tragedy. The Bear and the Nightingale by Catherine Arden. Uprooted by Naomi Novik. Sherwood Forest. The list is long, and let's not even start on the wolves. Interesting. We adore trees until they gang up on us. Then they're a thing to be feared, probably with good reason. Here's something to try. I've done this myself by accident. Find a good, healthy wood, one with plenty of trees growing naturally close together and little to nothing in the way of open ground. Take yourself off the path. Leave a trail of breadcrumbs if you need to. Have a look around. Trees all look pretty much the same on a quick inspection. What you might find is that all of a sudden, you don't have any points of reference. You have nothing to navigate by. Now, imagine it's a wood you're not familiar with. Now, imagine it's getting dark. John York, in his book, Into the Woods, which explores how stories work and why we tell them, had this to say. In stories throughout the ages, there is one motif that continually reoccurs: the journey into the woods to find a dark but life-giving secret within. Lost senses for survival. Are we both drawn to the woods and fearful of them at one and the same time? You could posit that in times past, the woods were likely a means of survival. The woods by the village would be the place to gather firewood, to keep warm and forage for food, to ward off starvation, hence the draw. On the other hand, getting lost in a forest that might stretch for dozens of miles in all directions is a surefire bet for dying of exposure. But in our industrial society, these days are centuries distant, and yet the allure and the fear remains. Ever considered going into a wood at night, a moonless night, in a place out of sight of human lights? I haven't. The thought of it is enough to give me an atavistic shiver. Woods diminish the senses we once relied upon for survival. You can't see very far in a wood. Sounds are deadened or come at you in odd echoes. I've turned a corner in our wood and faced a deer not more than a few meters away. Perhaps that's where the fear comes from. If we don't know what's there, our imagination will handily sketch something for us to get our teeth into, before the something gets its teeth into us. Like John York, I'm convinced that duality over the woods, that fear and allure, goes back as long as we've been telling stories. It's as old as humanity. It's hardwired into us. It's why we continue to write about it in all its different forms. I'll keep going to my local forest, to work, to plant trees I'll never see grow to maturity, to walk, to think, to sometimes just sit and watch and listen. If I hit a knot in my writing, it's my go-to place. I'd encourage you to do the same. Go to where the wild things are, but make sure you know the way back.